Hey, what's going on, good people? It's your dog, Tidy, checking in with the Atlanta Bird Gang with another quick video here for you today. Hey, let's get straight to the business. Let's not waste anybody's time. Let's get directly to the business. You see the title, man. Is this Grady Jarrett's final season with the Atlanta Falcons? Is this Grady Jarrett's final season with the Atlanta Falcons? There are a lot of changes that has happened with this team within the last 2 to 3 years. New coach, new players, new schemes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I know I'm gonna get a lot of probably funny looks when people watch this video, and I'm gonna catch a lot of people off guard, but hear me out. Hear me out. As Falcons fans, one of our most beloved players currently on this team, you could possibly argue all time is Grady Jarrett. I think for the very most part, all of us love Grady Jarrett. He's not one of those players that are polarizing. Either you love or you hate him. I think for the very most part, the vast majority of this fan base loves Grady Jarrett. But as you hear the players as you hear players, coaches, general managers, excuse me, say very often, this is a business, y'all. Now, going into next season, and I know we haven't played this season yet, but it's the off season, so we could talk about a variety of things. But going to next season, the Atlanta Falcons are projected to have about $7.6 million worth of cap space. And also next season, I presume the Falcons do want to retain AJ Terrell. We made a video about AJ Terrell's next contract that's on the channel. Make sure that you go check that out if you haven't saw it yet. Also, I presume they want to keep Kyle Pitts as well. These are the new generation Falcons. These are the younger guys. These are the guys that are around 23, 24, 25 years old. So you want to keep those guys. Now, Grady Jarrett, he's on the other side of 30 years old. He's actually 31 years old. So going into 2024, the Falcons are projected to have about $7.6 million worth of cap space. We don't know the official number, of course, until next March when the NFL releases, the new cap information. But normally these sites do a pretty good job at their projections. This is coming from Over the Cap. So, and I mentioned Kyle Pitts and I mentioned AJ Terrell because those are the next two big contracts that are on the docket. Locking Kyle Pitts up long term, locking AJ Terrell up long term. You drafted both of those guys in the first rounds, and they both have been starting since their rookie years. So, as a franchise, you want to keep those guys in the fold. Now, both guys are probably going to get some pretty big deals from the Falcons. AJ should get a big cornerback deal from the Falcons, and Kyle Pitts should get a pretty big tight end contract from the Falcons. Now, this is the pickle the Falcons are going to run into. Because speaking of next year's salary cap, Kirk Cousins' cap hit goes up to about $40 million. It's currently $25 million right now, so it's pretty affordable now. But next year it goes up to $40 million. This year, Grady Jarrett's cap hit is $20 million and change. Next year his cap hit is $20 million and change. And next year, 2025, is the final year of Grady Jarrett's contract. So, needless to say, money is going to be pretty tight for the Falcons going into next offseason. Money is already kind of tight right now. In order to, probably to sign all of our draft picks, we're probably going to end up having to restructure some contracts. So, next year, going into next offseason, money is going to be even more tighter. We're projected to have about $7.6 million worth of cap space. Now, next year, Grady Jarrett will be in his final year of his contract with the Atlanta Falcons. He will be 32 years old at that time as well. That will be year number 10 of his NFL career. All 10 years have been spent with the Atlanta Falcons. There was another Atlanta Falcons icon that played 10 years also with the Falcons, and then he left, and that was Mr. Julio Jones. So, the thing about the financial part of this, because with the NFL, a lot of this stuff is based off finances. It's a hard cap league. It's not Major League Baseball where you can just spend all the money you want to. It's a hard cap league, so you always got to look at finances. Hypothetically speaking, If the Falcons don't restructure Grady Jarrett, which I don't think they will, but if they do, they may. They may think totally different than what I'm saying on this video. They may say, "Hey, we love Grady Jarrett," the old Arthur Blank saying Falcon for life. So they may restructure him next week or so. But let's say they don't. Next year, whether we trade Grady Jarrett, and I'm sure it'll be a trade if this does happen to be the last year with him with the Falcons. I don't see Grady Jarrett getting cut. But if we trade him post June or pre June, because a lot of times if you do things post June, a lot of times it's cheaper. But being the Falcons haven't really touched his contract since he signed his latest deal, whether we trade him post June or pre June, it's still the same implications on the salary cap. It's about $4 million worth of dead cap, and it's about $16.2 million worth of cap savings. I'll repeat that, about $16.2 million worth of cap savings. So just that one move, going from about $7.6 million projected cap space next year, if we were to trade Grady Jarrett, hypothetically speaking, that one move would put us at about $24 million worth of cap space. Now, digging deeper a little bit into this thing, again, I know we all love Grady Jarrett. We also acquired last offseason David Onyemata. And now the plans were to put him with Grady Jarrett and create a force in that interior defensive line. Because as Falcons fans, we'd always say, "Hey, Grady don't have any help. Grady don't have any help. Grady don't have any help." Well, they got him some help. They got him on Onyemata last year. And the thing about it, the compelling thing about this is when Onyemata came on the team and he played alongside Grady. I got to be honest with y'all. He outplayed Grady Jarrett last year. And again, I got to be honest, it wasn't close. It was not close. And I know somebody said, "Well, Grady Jarrett got hurt mid-season." That's correct. But those first 8 games or however long it was before, Grady went out with his injury, David Onyemata was clearly the best interior defensive line on that team last year. Clearly. He was clearly outplaying Grady Jarrett. Now, I'm not trying to say that Grady played bad or he sucked or he's trash. No. But I'm just saying, if you watch those guys when they played together, David Onyemata was the better player of the two. Now, age. Onyemata and Grady, they're pretty much the same age. I think they're both 31 years old right now. I think David Onyemata is about 5 months older than Grady Jarrett. So essentially they're the same age. I think Grady's birthday is in April, and I think Onyemata's birthday is in November. So Onyemata is about to turn 32 in November, whereas Grady just turned 31 in April. So they're right at the same age. But again, once they played together, man, Onyemata was clearly the better player. And to dig even deeper into it, the last few years of their career, Onyemata has been a better player than Grady Jarrett. If you're one of the analytic nuts, if you like to look at the analytics wise, Onyemata has been over and beyond the better player. If you go back these last 4 years, and again, using PFF, I oftentimes will use PFF as a reference point. Using PFF, going back the last 4 years, Grady Jarrett only has one season where he has at least a 80 PFF score. And I think it was right at 80 and some change. It might have been 80.8, something like that. But he only has one season where he has at least an 80 PFF score. The rest of the 3 seasons, he's right at about 71, 72. Nothing above, nothing at least 73. And then there's an additional season in there where he's in the 60s. So the last 4 years, he has one season 80 plus, and the rest of them were about 71, 72. and one season where he's in the high 60s. David Amyamata in the last 4 years, guys, the last 3 out of 4 seasons, he has had at least a 80 PFF score. The last 3 out of 4 seasons, he's had at least a 80 PFF score. One of those years, he had almost a 90 PFF score. So he has like a 88, 82, 83, somewhere around that, somewhere in that point range. And he also had one season in the 60s. So analytics wise, he has been clearly the best player. PFF had him ranked as the 18th best interior defensive lineman going into this season. Amyamata. So that was the highest ranked on the Falcons team. And also, David Amyamata has had the last 7 seasons, he's had at least 30 quarterback pressures. So these last few years, guys, and again, we all love Grady Jarrett, but the last few years, Amyamata has been clearly better. And if you're wondering why I'm continuing to talk about Amyamata, because again, they are the same age. They played the same similar position. And also, Amyamata's cap hit. Amyamata's cap hit in 2025, which is also the final year of his contract with the Falcons. So they both have 2 years left, including this season. But Amyamata's his cap hit in 2025, if memory serves me correctly, it's about $14 million and change. Grady Jarrett's cap hit in 2025 is $20 million and change. That's a big difference when you're doing cap hits, when you're already kind of tight with the cap. Now, if we never signed, Kirk Cousins, and hey, money isn't that big of an object, but the dollars are going to start to get tight from this point going forward. So if you're talking about a player who's pretty much the same age, pretty much plays the same position, but he's outplayed the other guy clearly the last 4 years, and he's a lot cheaper, it's kind of a no-brainer. And we also just drafted Rook Oruru. I hope I said his name correct. But I'm not going to say that they did not want to draft him, because obviously they did. But that was a very calculated draft pick. Terry Fontenot has definitely shown us that he looks toward the future. With the Michael Penix Jr. draft pick, Fontenot has shown us, hey, look, guys, I plan for the future. I just don't look at the now. I also plan for the later. So he has proven to us with the Michael Penix Jr. pick that, hey, I look at the future. Therefore, the Rook Oruru pick, guys, that could potentially be Grady Jarrett's replacement, and they could possibly decide to trade him and retain David Amyamata, who's a lot cheaper, and he's been a lot better the last few years. I'm just being honest. I love Grady just like everybody else does who's a Falcons fan. I saw what he did to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. You could have argued if we would have won the game, he'd have been Super Bowl MVP. I love Big Grady. But, hey, reality is reality, and the facts are the facts, and that's what I'm laying out to you in this video. So this could be possibly Grady Jarrett's final season as an Atlanta Falcon for the reason that I stated. And also, he is coming off that serious injury, so we have to keep that in mind as well. And they've just drafted who the Falcons hope will eventually be his replacement. Just like we drafted Penix and we got Kirk Cousins here. So that was all a part of the Falcons matrix by drafting him. So, again, love Grady Jarrett. Been a big Grady Jarrett since day one we got him. He's always been a baller, but the reality is the reality, guys. This could possibly be his final season in Atlanta, especially once you start looking at the financials of the situation. Grady Jarrett is going to have 2 consecutive years, including this season, where his cap hit is going to be $20 million plus. I think Amimata's cap hit this year is only about $12 million and some change. It goes up to, once again, as I'll restate, it goes up to about $14 million and change next season. And I know some of us may say, well, Grady Jarrett, he's been here, almost 10 years. The Falcons are going to be loyal to him, blah, 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 blah. Again, our general manager has shown that loyalty is only going to go so far. And speaking of loyalty, Terry Fontenot has worked more years with David Onyemata than he has with Grady Jarrett. So Fontenot's loyalty may not lie as much with Grady as it may with Onyemata. So we have to look at all these things in all these situations. So this is going to be a key pivotal season for Grady Jarrett. If they don't restructure Grady Jarrett, he can't have a down year. If so, they're probably going to move on. And they may not even want to move on, but the money may make them move on. So it's one of those things that you call in professional sports a salary cap casualty that could become Grady Jarrett's fate with the Atlanta Falcons. So it's going to be a lot of interesting things going to play out this upcoming football season. A lot of interesting storylines are going to play out this football season as well. So let's see how Grady plays. Let's see how the rookie plays, Oruru, and also David Onyemata. That's going to tell us a lot about what possibly will happen in that interior defensive lineman room in 2025. But that's my thoughts on it, y'all. I'm interested, as always, to hear your thoughts. Hey, as we always do, let's have a good conversation in the chat. If you think I'm crazy, tell me that I'm crazy. And, we'll talk about it, man. This is just my opinion. My opinion is never any better than anybody else's opinion. So I'm looking forward to discussing this topic with everybody in the comment section. As always, like the video. If you enjoyed this video, if you like the content that you see here on Atlanta Bird Gang, make sure that you do subscribe. And also make sure you hit that notification bell so anytime we drop new content, YouTube will send you a notification. Peace.